I'm going to do that as well. And so I want to welcome you all to this very, very special day. Raymond Francis, the book is called The Great American Health Hoax. This book not only changed my life, but ultimately it changed my husband's life. After 3 years of going, honey, honey, and he wasn't ready, after the show with Raymond Francis, I always want to call you a doctor, but with Raymond Francis, my husband came in to my office and said, okay, I'm in. And so after you listen to this extremely special man, you will too. I hope you can make the choice and say, I'm in. I'm all about my health. So fasten your seatbelt because we're going to learn in the classroom with Raymond Francis. Here we go.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here, right here. And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who have been tuning in since 2011, or maybe just tuned in yesterday for the first time, welcome back. But if this is the first time that you have stumbled upon the show, perhaps somebody invited you to come on, then just know I've been waiting for you. This is a special place. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friends, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Let me tell you, back in 2015, that's when it all shifted for me. That's when I took a 100% shift and I said, no more. I am going to research everything. I am going to treat my body with my intuition as well as science. But the kind of science that says your body is perfect and it's meant to heal. So in comes Raymond Francis, and he's the author of The Great American Health Hoax. And by the way, the 10th caller or texter, 407-373-5959, 407-373-5959 will get you this book. So we're giving away several books. So if you're watching later on YouTube or listening on podcast and you want to call the book, you get the book and get it. So you can just text me and say, I want it, I'm from Facebook, or I want it, I'm from podcast. But if you're watching now on Facebook Live at Lillian's radio show, then the 10th caller or texter right now will get it. So here's what happened. This man will share his crisis. Isn't it amazing how many times we get into this crisis mode, and that's when we start looking into our intuition. And this story for him led him into a discovery that, surprisingly enough, led him to his new truth, and how modern medicine is making us sick. His story will amaze us, but only if you're ready for a new truth. I think you are. You've been listening to the show and watching the show long enough, and we're aware of the background noise, so there's nothing we can do about it. But and I'm so grateful, because it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge. And I'm grateful that Raymond Francis is here to do just that. Welcome, Raymond, back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show.
Thank you very much. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here, Lillian. But you know, you're talking about healing, alternative approaches to healing, and we need more voices like yours, because we have to tell people about this.
Yes.
You know, a few years ago, the National Academy of Sciences, pretty prestigious, National Academy of Sciences, issued a report and said that the medicine we have is now so far behind the science that there is no way we can bring it up to date. We need to discard it and start over. And that's from the National Academy of Sciences. So that's not you saying that, that's not me. And that's precisely the situation. I'm a scientist, and the allopathic medicine, the traditional medicine, is now so far behind the science, it's ridiculous. So we need to discard it, and the faster we discard it, the better. People have to stop believing in it. Millions and millions of people are on prescription drugs in America. Prescription drugs don't make you well, they suppress symptoms, and they make you sick, and they even kill you. Prescription drugs alone are the third leading cause of death in America.
Yeah.
So they not only don't make you well, they make you sicker, and they can kill you. And so you go to the doctor and you say, "Doctor, I have this problem," and the doctor prescribes a drug. Then you take the drug, you come back a month later and you say, "Doctor, I now have 4 problems." And the doctor doesn't say, "Oh dear, the drug gave you 3 new diseases." He just says, "Oh, those are side effects." So that's a much nicer way to say it. Those are side effects. No, they're not side effects. They are new diseases. You've actually disturbed the body's biochemistry. The drug has altered your chemistry. You've developed whole new problems, whole new diseases. So the system of medicine we have is very expensive, it's ineffective, and it's dangerous. And people need to know this. They need to stop taking their drugs, because you know what? There isn't a drug that I can think of that doesn't have a better, safer, cheaper alternative. So that's where we need to go.
Absolutely. So as you gave that example, it sounded very similar to your story. So
Yes.
let's talk about your story and how you, what your background is and how you're connected to the pharmaceutical industry.
Well, I'm a chemist by training. So I'm a chemist. If I weren't a chemist, I would be dead, because I saved my own life using my knowledge of biochemistry. So I'm a chemist. I'm a graduate of MIT. I was president of an international management consulting company. We did business all over the world. And I started to not feel well. My energy went down.
How old were you at the time?
I was 46 when my energy started going down. You know, that's the #1 complaint made to doctors. #1 complaint. And you know what my doctor told me? He said, "You're getting older." I was 46 years old, and he's saying my energy is down because I'm getting older.
Yeah.
They just don't know. They don't understand. If perhaps the biggest, most important measure of health is your ability to make energy, the ability to manufacture high energy compounds, to utilize those high energy compounds, and keep your body functioning at a very high level. So if your energy is down, you are sick. You are very sick, and you'd better start trying to figure out how to get well, because the doctor doesn't have a clue.
Correct.
So anyway, I said, "Doc, I've never been this, I never felt like this way before." He said, "Well, you've never been this old before."
46. My God, you're a baby.
Yeah. I've had 2 more years. I'm now 82. 2 more years passed, and I was really, really, really dragging, and I developed a whole bunch of allergies, and so I went to see an allergist, and the allergist didn't have a clue either, but he gave me an allergy test. It was a very, very sensitive test, and I suffered a catastrophic reaction to it, and this started a downward spiral to where my health just went down like rolling down a hill.
Yeah.
And I got sicker and sicker and sicker and then I went to 36 top specialists, all of them useless. All they did was send a bill, never had a single useful suggestion. And then I finally went to a last one, and he said, "Oh boy, I can help you take this drug." I took the drug poisoned my liver, and my liver died. And I ended up on death's door. My death was a medical certainty. I was at the point where I actually could not move. I weighed 120 pounds. I was skin and bones, and I could not move. And there was one day when my neck was hurting me when I was in bed, and so I said, "Okay, move my head." I couldn't. It didn't. My head wouldn't respond. I couldn't move. That's how far gone, how close to death that I was. And at the last moment, I used my own knowledge of biochemistry, and within about 36 hours or so, I could sit up in bed. So, you go from not being able to move to being able to sit up in bed. Well, that's a really, really big improvement. And so that kind of told me, well, I can intervene, I can do something. Then it took me 2 more years of hard work and learning, and before I restored my health to where I can function normally again. And now I'm 82. I fly all over the world constantly. I lecture all over the world. I've got a schedule that would kill a horse.
Yeah, you were telling me your schedule earlier, and I became very exhausted, and at the age of any age, like at the age of 46, I would say, okay, a 46-year-old can do this. But at 82, you sound like Dr. Lorraine Day. I don't know if you're familiar with who she is, but she is like you, very active, and was told too to get her affair in order because she was on death's door.
Yes,
now,
I know. I know her.
When you get to this point in your life and you're totally reliant on doctors, and of course you're taking the pills that they're telling you to take,
right.
You're trusting them, although you know better, but you're trusting them. You're weak, you're vulnerable. At what point, what was it that made that shift? What did you do at that moment?
I actually took some vitamin C. I remembered that vitamin C was critical to liver detoxification. My liver was dying of toxicity. And I didn't know if it was going to work, but I didn't have any other options. The doctors were saying, "Hey, you're gone." So I took the vitamin C, and I didn't take that much. And it had a miraculous improvement. So it was a miracle, and that caught my attention. And I went back to work for a couple of years after that as president of the management consulting firm. But it was never the same again. I just kept running things through my mind. I kept asking, well, why did I get sick? Why do people get sick? How do you take a healthy person and make them a sick person? And if you have a sick person, how do you make them a healthy person? And I started getting answers to these questions, and it just blew me away. And about 6 months into it, I came to the conclusion that modern medicine was more of a danger than a help. And that was an intellectual conclusion, but it took me 2 years to emotionally accept it.
Yeah,
we're so brainwashed into believing in modern medicine that even though you come to a rational scientific conclusion that medicine doesn't work, it takes you 2 years to emotionally accept it. So I got to be wrong. Look at all these hospitals, looking at all these doctors.
yes.
I've got to be wrong. I can't be right. And no, I was right. And so that was an interesting transformation. And so there came a day, and the exact day was July 16, 1991, where I decided to resign from everything. I was even on the board of directors of a hospital. So I resigned as president of the management consulting company. I resigned from everything in one day and decided to devote the remainder of my life to helping other people to get well and stay well. That was in 1991. I knew I needed vitamins, and yet when I took vitamins, they made me sick. And so I asked, why did that happen? I spent 9 years studying vitamin chemistry, and finally ended up making my own vitamins, which are now some of the highest quality vitamins in the entire world. And so I went through this transformation, and then in 1994, I started my own radio show, coast to coast radio show, and I did that for 16 years. And then I started my first book, Never Be Sick Again, which is an international bestseller, by the way. It's gone all over the world. Yeah. And I published that in 2002. And then, of course, the most recent book, which you just showed, is The Great American Health Hoax. But the nice thing about The Great American Health Hoax is that it contains a whole chapter on what I call the maintenance list.
Yes.
You know, you buy a new car, comes a little booklet, and the maintenance list that says, you know, here's the 15,000 mile checkup, the 30,000 mile check, you know, this is what you're supposed to do to keep the car working right.
Yeah.
Well, you're much more complicated than the car. Where's the maintenance list? You don't get one, you know? So I put a whole chapter in the Great American Health Hoax,
yes,
called the maintenance list, to help people to understand what they need to do to maintain their body and keep it operating in good condition. And you're supposed to be healthy. You know, the human body is designed to be healthy. Yes. And we're all sick. We're all sick. There was just a brand new study out that 90% of the US population has at least one metabolic disorder. In other words, one major malfunction, at least one major malfunction going on in your body, 90%. So we are looking at a sick population that is getting sicker every year, yes, and is running up the costs, and we're bankrupting the country trying to pay for the cost of disease. We have to stop that. We have to teach people how to be well.
Yes. But what they're calling disease is the body speaking to you. It's a symptom.
Yes.
It's your body saying, hey, you're run down. Hey, maybe you should stop a little and look at the things you're doing, right? But absolutely, instead, we go to a doctor and say, I have this symptom, and they call it a disease, and they give you a pill for it. I don't know if I had already established this when we first met, Raymond, but my registered service mark is you can take a pill or you can take responsibility. I'm not against the pill.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
It's not that I'm against the pill, because there are times where people do need it, short-term, you know, emergency kind of thing. But long-term, you know, if you change your lifestyle, then that will do more than that pill that you would take. So I had mentioned to you that I'm on, and I asked for forgiveness if I sound incoherent, but I am on the third day of a 5-day fast.
Yippee!
So I said, I don't know if you have any opinion about the fasting, but I would like for you to share your experience with fasting.
Well, fasting is something everybody should do. It is very, very healthy for the body. The body was not intended to eat 3 meals a day every day. Now, we were hunter-gatherers. We'd find some food. We might go a day or two without finding more food. We were not intended to eat 3 meals a day every day. And that's what we do. So you need to give the body a rest. And when you give it a good rest, Hippocrates used fasting. He'd send sick people off to fast, and they'd get well, because the body does a lot of house cleaning when it doesn't have to digest all that food, which requires a lot of energy and a lot of chemicals, and you're not doing that. then that energy and those chemicals go into doing repairs and helping the body to get stronger.
Yeah.
So fasting builds the body. It's really wonderful. I fast normally 1 day a week, and that's 36 hours. In other words, like I'll have dinner tonight, I'll go through all of tomorrow with no food, and then have breakfast the following morning. That's about 36 hours without food. I do that once a week. And if, because of my travels, I miss that, then I'll try to do 2 or 3 days, maybe at the end of the month. And then once a year, I do a 7 to 10 day fast. And I'd ask, how do you know which one? Well, your body will tell you. There comes a point where the body says, it's time to eat. And sometimes that happens in 7 days, and sometimes that happens in 10 days. I just let my body tell me when it's time to eat. And this is enormously restorative. And in fact, when I was sick, I think it was a 9-day fast was the thing that really turned around my situation. I was so sick. I went to see a nutritionist, and the nutritionist said, now go on a fast. And I went on the fast for 9 days. And at the end of that, I was in a new place. I was at a whole new plateau. So, in fact, there are some people, cancer patients, for example, go out and fast for 40 days and their cancer is gone. It's all gone.
Isn't it amazing, Raymond? And so I want, for those of you who are just joining us, we are giving away, or Raymond is giving away, the Great American Health Hoax for the 10th caller or texter. I don't answer the phone if you call. It's 407-373-5959. 407-373-5959. 10th caller or texter, and Raymond will send you a book right to your home. And so here's the thing. We follow these gurus that follow along the mainstream protocol, like companies that come out with these great marketing, like milk does a body good, or they have all these different marketing campaigns that really are just to sell product. They don't care if it does our body good or not. They want to do their wallets good. And so we fall into this 3 times a day we have to eat. And if we don't eat, we panic. And when I say we, I mean I. And so this fast for me has completely changed the way I look at food. I realized through this that I eat when I'm bored, I eat when I'm tired, and I eat when I eat, and I remember going into the kitchen on a regular basis. After eating 2 hours later, I'll say, oh my God, I'm so hungry. And now we're going on 3 days, and I do not feel hungry at all. I woke up at 2 o'clock this morning, and I had so much energy that I used it to work. I used it to do the things I needed to do. And then just before the show, I took a 2-hour nap. So, I'm listening to my body. Did that happen to you? Did you feel like you had so much energy?
Oh, absolutely. Well, digesting food requires an enormous amount of energy. When you're not using that energy, you can then use it. It goes into the rest of you. And so you feel like, whoa, feel really great. And sometimes, for the first couple of days, I might feel a little hungry. But after about the 3rd day, I don't feel hungry anymore. And I feel energized. And I don't do strenuous things, but I do regular work. And sometimes, I do go out and ride my bicycle while I'm fasting. And so.
You do?
Yeah, and it's, just do what your body tells you can do. But fasting is very healthy. I recommend it to everyone to do on a regular basis, at least 1 day a week, and then once a year, a 7 to 10 day fast. Now, if you're on a pure water fast, I mix some vitamin C with my water.
Okay.
So I take vitamin C in the water. And because vitamin C is water soluble, vitamin. It goes through you very, very quickly. And so I want to keep my vitamin C levels up. And so that's what I do.
Very good. Very good. I love it. Dr. Michael Clapper is guiding me through this. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he used to work at True North, and has been wonderful to hold my hand through this process. I don't think I could do this without my fastation girls and Dr. Clapper. So I'm very excited about this. Now, in the book, and for those of you who are asking, I always want to call him Dr. Raymond Francis.
Oh, I am.
Okay, but you also asked me to call you Raymond Francis, and so when I say that, I don't want to disrespect you, but he is a chemist. So Raymond Francis is 82 years old. At the age of 46, he was told that started the process of getting sick, and almost died.
At 48, almost died. Yeah.
At 48, almost died. And that was because, and I'm not telling you not to take medication, but what I am telling you is that it's important to listen to your body. And Raymond, in looking back in all the years that you've been passionate about health, and looking back, do you feel that if you would have slowed down a bit at the age of 46, or maybe changed your diet or changed something about your life,
Sure.
do you think it would have gotten to that point?
No, absolutely not. The problem is nobody tells us what to do. That's why in the Great American Health Hoax, I have the maintenance list. It tells you what to do. And once you know that, you're not going to get sick. You don't have to get sick. You see, it really comes down to cells, the little microscopic units of life, cells. A bacterium is a single cell organism. We began life, all of us began life as a single cell in our mother. And now we're multi-trillion cell organisms.
Yes.
So trillions and trillions of cells. What you have to understand is that if that single cell is operating the way it's supposed to, operating normally, then the cell is healthy. Only when the cell is not operating normally and malfunctioning are you not healthy. So there's really only one disease, a malfunctioning cell. Either your cells are working right or they're not, simple. And if they're not, you're going to get a whole bunch of symptoms. And then the doctor is going to look at your symptoms and say, oh my gosh, you got this symptom, that symptom, therefore you have this disease. No, you don't. Cancer does not exist. Diabetes does not exist. Alzheimer's. What exists is cells that are not operating normally. And there's only two reasons why that happens. You're not delivering to the cells everything they need to operate properly. We call this problem deficiency. Mm-hmm. And the other problem is that we're delivering to those cells things that they should not be having. And we call that problem toxicity. So all disease is the result of deficiency and toxicity. The biggest single cause of disease is the poor diets that we eat, and we're not supplying our cells with the groceries that they need to operate properly. And today, that's hard to do because the soils are depleted. So even if you're eating, take a carrot, to get the same amount of magnesium in a carrot that you got 50 years ago, you now eat 20 carrots. Mm-hmm. And you got the same magnesium in one carrot 50 years ago. Now you had to eat 20 carrots. Well, who's eating 20 carrots? Nobody. And so you've got to understand that the food we're eating is vastly different from what people were eating just 50 years ago, and even more different from what people were eating 100 years ago. And that's why supplementation is now an absolute necessity. And again, going back to the National Academy of Sciences, National Academy says that it's now impossible to get the nutrition you need, even if you eat a good diet, and that everybody should at the least be taking a good multivitamin. Well, unfortunately, it's very difficult to get a good multivitamin because 90% of the brands on the market don't work. Yeah. But other than that. It's but it's eating a good diet is the most important thing you can do. But we don't teach people how to do that.
Yes, yes. And for those of you who are interested in learning more about Raymond Francis's vitamins, can they go to raymondfrancisauthor.com to
Yes, they
find it?
can.
Is there a link there, Raymond?
I don't know if there's a link there, but the where you can get the vitamins is beyondhealth.com. That's beyond, BEYOND, health, HEALTH, beyondhealth.com. And you can get them. And these are some of the highest quality vitamins in the entire world. And I formulated them. So
That's wonderful.
very difficult to make.
Sometimes we have to go through some catastrophic illness to wake up.
Yes.
And I'm sad that you went through your catastrophic illness. However, the fourth step of taking ownership or responsibility for your life is taking what you've learned and giving it to the greater good.
Yeah.
Because we don't know that we are hurting ourselves, that we are doing it ourselves. We want to blame our situation, the world, and yes, there may be toxins all around us.
Yes.
There's still things that we can do. You say in the book that we make everything complicated, and that health is simple. And so if you take that approach, it's either deficiency or toxicity.
Right. Usually a combination of both.
Or a combination of both.
That's why people get sick. And then the symptoms they develop are really the result of your particular combination of deficiencies, your combination of toxicities, your unique genetic code, and your beliefs and emotions and things like that. And you put all those together and you get thousands of different symptoms.
Yes.
And our doctors get very, very confused and think there are thousands of different diseases, which they're not. They're just one disease. Either the cell is working right or it's not.
Correct.
One or the other. That's pretty simple.
It is. It is. So I love the fact that you have a maintenance list, 10th caller, texter 407-373-5959. And if you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching on podcasts, you too can text me and say, hey, I want the book, The Great American Health Hoax. Okay, so let's talk about these toxic foods, because it's not just toxic food. There's toxic thoughts. There's a toxic environment. How do we keep away from all of that? How do we not live in fear, which is toxic thought?
You don't. We live in a toxic world. The average American is a toxic waste site, a dump site. The average American is a toxic waste dump site. We're now measuring in some people toxins that are way, way above safety limits and at levels that we know cause disease. So people are max. So what you can do for the toxins, we live in a toxic world. I mean, that's it. So what you need to do is learn where most of the toxins are and stop putting them in your body. Simple, cut the amount of toxins coming in. For example, what brand of toothpaste you use. Toothpaste can be very, very, very toxic, and you're using it every day, so you're poisoning yourself every day. Well, you can buy a safe brand. Boom, problem solved.
No fluoride, because of course we've been drilled that we need fluoride, but here we are drinking in our water, putting it in our mouth. Children are swallowing it left and right.
Yeah.
But God forbid we would choose to say no fluoride in our water. We don't need to drink it, right?
Right. You should not. I think it's close to half the population of our young people today have a thing called dental fluorosis.
Mm-hmm.
And dental fluorosis is a sign of disease. So the kids are getting way, way, way too much. We've got to take the fluoride out of the water. We've got to take it out of the toothpaste. You're getting, eat breakfast cereal. That breakfast cereal has been made with water, and there was fluoride in the water. So we're getting it everywhere. Too much of it. It's a toxin. Get it out of your life. And so learn where the toxins are and stop putting them in your body. then the next thing you can do, the body has detoxification pathways that require certain chemicals, vitamins and minerals, to make those pathways function and to detoxify something. So if you eat a molecule of, say, a pesticide, the body goes through a whole bunch of biochemical tricks and takes that molecule apart and renders it harmless. But it requires these other chemicals, and where do you get those? Well, from your diet. Mm-hmm. So if you're eating a good diet, and if you're taking good high-quality supplements, you're supporting your detoxification pathways. If you don't, then the toxins don't get detoxified, and they build up in your body, and they poison you. And then there's a third thing. So first is stop putting them in, support the body's detoxification pathways. And the third part of that is to actively remove toxins from the body. And the best way we know how to do that is with a sauna. And most people don't know that they need to sauna, and they don't really have a choice. You're either going to sauna on a regular basis or you're going to be sick, one or the other. I just saunaed last night.
Raymond, is the sauna to detoxify our lymphatic system?
It's to detoxify the entire body.
But is it to make us sweat?
No.
Okay, share more about that because I'm curious.
Yes, yeah. You will sweat in the sauna, but in an infrared sauna, you want to keep the temperature down. I keep the temperature in my sauna where I'm lying on the bench about 110 to 115 degrees. Mm-hmm. And then it takes about 20 minutes. I sauna for an hour 3 times a week. It takes about 20 minutes to melt the fat under your skin. And then that fat, the oil starts coming out on your skin. So we're not trying to get rid of sweat here. We're trying to minimize the loss of the water, and we're trying to optimize the loss of the oil, because the oil contains the oil-soluble toxins. See, when the body was designed, we were not exposed. We didn't live in the petroleum age, and we weren't exposed to a gazillion oil-soluble toxins, and now we are every minute of the day. And the body doesn't really have a way to get rid of them. So this is a case where the body fails us because it never geared up to do a job that didn't have to do. So the sauna is really, really critical. And as I said, we're measuring people now that are off the charts on the amount of toxins in their body. We tried to measure me. There's nothing. Can't measure anything. I've been saunaing for over 30 years now.
Wow. Okay. You've made me a believer of this. I think I need to find one for my house, because they have them that are portable to come to your house that stay in your house, and you just pop them up like a little tent and you sit in there and you get, are you talking about steam or dry?
Dry, infrared.
Infrared.
Dry.
Okay.
Yeah, dry is very important. Steam is wrong.
Steam is wrong.
Steam is wrong.
Infrared is good.
Infrared is good.
See, we learned so much in this classroom. Raymond Francis is our teacher today, and I'm just saying to you, going back to the water, I want to acknowledge some of the sponsors that make this show alive and be able to occur. I want to thank Puricom USA for donating these reverse osmosis water system, over the counter, zero installation, and that's the water I've been drinking. And so we gave our last one actually we still have one more to give, but Victoria Sterling won our last one, and I'm so happy that she'll be getting one too. But we need to do whatever it takes. And Lee Cowden, in the show with Lee Cowden, he explained that you can take water, freeze it about 2.5 hours, and then pour out the water that is not iced, and make sure the ice doesn't go into the water, and that will and you do it twice, and that will purify. Watch that show with Dr. Lee Cowden. We just had it a couple days ago. I want to also thank Liberty Health Share. Check out my website, because in my website you will have all these people, all these sponsors that have stepped up are holding my hand and saying, we believe in this and we want to stand with you. And so that's Liberty Health Share. You can find them on my website, libertyhealthshare.org. We have Keep Me Safe Organics. Keep Me Safe Organics is a beauty products. So there's no toxicity on our soaps and the cleansers and the makeup. The makeup I use is Keep Me Safe Organics. If you go onto my website and you click onto the sponsors page, you get 10% off your entire purchase. So click on that. And then First Alternative Care, 24/7 telemedicine, family practice, dermatology, and 3 hours a year of mental health counseling for the entire household for $35. And we got Dr. Stephen Grable, and he's integrative, functional, holistic doctor in Jacksonville Beach, and he's also a medical doctor. And we also have the pharmacy in Merritt Island. Just mention that I told you to go, and they'll give you 20% off. So this is where we take 100% responsibility. As I said earlier, we can take a pill or we can take responsibility. It's not that I'm against the pill. It's that I'm for doing everything that you can do to live a healthy life. I am going through this, testing my body, because I know that although I look slender, I know that I'm constantly eating. I'm constantly hungry. I'm constantly, going to the refrigerator. Yes, I snack on healthier things, but I'm constantly eating, which taxes the body as well. And so little things like that, like Raymond Francis said, he does this every year, and once a week he fasts. So we got to be curious about these things instead of critical and dismiss them. Just be curious and consider maybe something that you can tweak. The owner's manual in this book alone will help you. And you can get it for free at 407-373-5959. And lastly, if you love the classroom and you want to enroll in the classroom and help us along the way with the extra cost, you can go to whenyouneedafriend.com, hit the enrolled student button, and make a commitment to the show and help us out in the journey. And so today we have Raymond Francis, who almost died from medication, prescribed the right way, taken the right way, and now he's here, even though he was told that he would die. Get your affairs in order, and he's here to spread the good news. Will you listen? Will we listen? And I'm hoping the answer to that is, I'm curious enough to check it out. Everything we talk about on the show, I want to encourage you, or in the classroom, I want to encourage you to check it out. Make it your truth, not just mine or Raymond Francis's truth. So is there anything else, Raymond, that you can tell us in the owner's manual that made a huge difference for you?
Yes, but it was in order to make your health better and to prevent disease, the average American has to make some substantial changes. Most people can't do that in one day. You tell me what's right, I'll do it in one day. Most people can't. Mm-hmm. So it's making little steps, work on this, get the sugar out of your life, work on getting the sugar down, get the sugar out of your life. Mm-hmm. Very important. Get the dairy out of your life. Cut the processed oils out of your life, and cut down on the toxins. Learn where they're coming from. Cut down on the toxins, and you talked about a reverse osmosis system. A lot of the toxins today are coming in the water we drink. 75% of the water in the U.S. has been poisoned with fluoride.
And pharmaceuticals.
And pharmaceuticals, yeah, now loaded with pharmaceuticals and industrial chemicals and agricultural chemicals. You need to purify your water. So it's one step at a time, and you keep on walking, and pretty soon life is really, really different. I went from where I couldn't move to where, I feel fabulous. I go all over the world. These flowers, I just went to India. the flight, from the time I left my door to the time I got in the hotel in India was 42 hours. 42 hours. That's a long day.
It
And
is.
yeah, and I'm 82. I did just fine. I feel good. So anybody can do this. We're intended to be healthy,
Yes.
but we're screwing it up. Our bad diets, and again, we're not doing this to ourselves, but it's happening to us. So you have to be aware that the food today is only a fraction of the nutrition that it was 50 years ago. Most people don't know that. I was in the store the other day, and there was this woman, and you want to run up and tell them, but you can't, or you get arrested or something. And there was this woman there, and she was picking up packages of cherries and putting them into her cart. And I wanted to rush over and say, "Lady, you can't do that," because they were not organic cherries.
Mm-hmm.
Cherries are one of the most dangerous things you can eat because they're very, very heavily sprayed. And so they're toxic, very toxic. So cherries are wonderful, but you should eat organic cherries. But she didn't know that. Nobody ever told her that.
Yeah.
And so knowledge is power. And that's why it's all in my books. I've written 5 books. It's all in my books. I wrote a book on cancer called Never Fear Cancer Again.
Yes.
People read that book all over the world to go home and cure their cancer. Yeah. Because there's no such thing as cancer. Either you have a cell that's working right or a cell that isn't working right. Your job is to keep your cells working right, or if they're not working right, to restore them to normal function. And when you restore them, the body shifts back into repair mode and you're well again. Any chronic disease is the result of repair deficits.
Yes.
You've got to shift the body back into repair mode, and then you actually become biologically younger when you do that, and whatever disease you have goes away.
That's right. And it's amazing until you try it. I never thought, Raymond, that going in, I was so scared, but at the same time curious enough to want to do it about the fast. I was but you know how many people said to me, "Oh, you'll never do it. You're constantly eating. Oh, you'll never survive this." And it wasn't that they were challenging me, but the mindset that I've taken is I'm doing a 5-day fast and I'm making a decision. I'm doing a 1-day fast 5 days in a row. So every day I'm checking myself. I'm saying, can I do another day? Can I do another day?
It's not a lot. I'd never consider 5 days. It's 7 to 10 days for me.
Well, maybe once I become an expert faster, I'll do the 7 days. I want to do it with my husband. I want to talk to you about diseases and how fast will help. We haven't talked about and for those of you who want to hear some of the old shows that Raymond was on with me, 4 years ago, those are not videoed, but that's why I wanted to bring him back into the show so that we can get a fresh outlook. It's been all these years. Has anything changed, Raymond? Has anything gotten big? One of the things I love about you is that you're living this. You're teaching us through example. And that's what I remember telling you when I picked up your book, The Great American Health Hoax, I could not put it down. I was stayed up. And so this is what I would like to do. I would like to ask you a disease and find out how can you address that? Because I get people that write to me all the time. And so the first one is prostate issues. Is there anything a man can do to reduce their prostate and eliminate frequent urination?
Yes. One thing nutritionally, the prostate is a zinc-rich tissue. Perhaps 85% of the population is deficient in zinc. So one thing you can do is give that person zinc, and that alone can help. Now, there's another problem, and that's toxicity. we're exposed to what we call xenoestrogens. We're exposed to estrogenic chemicals in our environment. And when you get too much of that estrogen in you building up, it will cause the prostate to enlarge. So again, it's deficiency and toxicity. It's either too little of what you need or too much of something that you don't need. They say, oh, I have an enlarged prostate, and the doctor gives you a drug. No. You're either getting too little of something like zinc or too much of something like an environmental estrogen, and you've got to kind of figure that out and work on it. And then my prostate's fine. I'm 82 years old. My prostate's fine.
I knew that was true for you.
Yeah. You don't have to. You don't have to be sick. You see.
And you don't have to get old in the traditional way.
Right. Yes, exactly. And everybody's doing that. They're all getting old in the traditional way, and they go to their doctor with the problem, and the doctor gives them a drug that suppresses the symptom and makes them sicker. That's not the way to go.
No, we need to, you see, these symptoms are our body talking to us, and we need to listen. And it could be past trauma. It could be toxicity. We need to figure it out. So in a situation with a man's prostate, how can they find out if it's toxicity, if it's deficiency or toxicity?
Difficult, because you see, we're not geared up to do that. Modern medicine is not geared up to look at health in the correct way. So in a lot of cases, we don't even have tests for measuring the things that need to be measured. And in a lot of cases, the tests that are needed are there, but they're not usual tests, and the doctor will not prescribe them on any, except for a very exceptional basis. So you kind of have to, read the book, do the maintenance list, and if you do that, things will get better and better and better, and because you're doing things right.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times we can't, a cancer patient, a lot of times we can't understand why they have cancer. But if you read my book, Never Fear Cancer Again,
Yep.
and you do the things in there, it's sort of like a shotgun. You're addressing all these different, factors that are promoting the cancer. And when you do that, if you do it right, the cancer just disappears, because there's no such thing as cancer. There's just cells that work right and cells that don't.
Raymond, we could talk all day long, and I know we're getting close to the end. I want to ask you, do you have some time after the show to talk? Like, how much do you have any time? Because what I want to do, there have been questions coming in on Facebook Live, and I want to address those questions because I want to get as much on the podcast and as possible. So if those of you who are watching today and you have questions, make sure that you write them down, and I will address them after the show. So as we go forward, Raymond, we're looking at, factors that are affecting our health. You've talked about that. And we've talked about death by medicine. But one of the things that I want to address, and I've said this before on the show, it's not our genes that we are handed down so much. It's the family recipe. So let's talk a little bit about the genes. Ooh, we got 2 minutes left. We can maybe talk about that after the show, after the class. But so right now, what I'd like for you to do, because this is going to be heard on the podcast, and after the show ends, that's the podcast. For those of you who are listening to the podcast, you can join us at facebook.com/Lillian's radio show. So if you can just give a quick wake-up call to someone who is just popping pills and thinking that that's going to help them, what would you like to say?
I would just like to say the same thing you say. You can take a drug or you can take responsibility. Mm-hmm. And we need to take more responsibility because the country is going bankrupt trying to pay for the cost of disease. And people are unhappy and they're dying prematurely and they don't feel well. So it's so much better to take the responsibility, but we don't teach you how to do that. And that's the problem. We need to teach you. And that's why I write my books.
I love your books. I love you. You were a very major part of my shift in mentality when it comes to looking at medicine. And I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast today. I'm looking forward to the classroom, the private classroom after the show, after the class. And I want to encourage all of you to share this, to like it. Let everybody know that these truths are out there. So thank you, Raymond, for being part of the class today, and I'm looking forward to our private session afterwards.
All right.
Please remember, you are in choice. You are in choice. You're either in deficiency or you're either in toxicity if you're feeling sick. Let's figure it out together. Please remember, I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Raymond Francis wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day
Ever!
I knew you'd give me the best ever.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Okay, so this is the after party. So I just want to say thank you to Robert and Ashley, to Veronica for joining us, and Victoria, my fast buddy, and Beth. So let me say, okay, Beth was saying that you look awesome. And I'm sure that you have a lot of people say, okay, what are you doing? What's the secret? What's going on? And it's no secret. You make it very public, don't you?
I do. I've written 5 books on The Secret.
Okay. So Mandy is listening. Thank you so much. Watching. Thank you so much. And let's see, whole food vitamin C and ascorbic acid. Is that a question or is that what you're using? She said, I meant not ascorbic acid, which is black mold. So can you talk a little bit about ascorbic acid?
Well,
vitamin C.
Ascorbate is a part of a molecule, and ascorbate is vitamin C. Then we attach that ascorbate molecule to other things, and one of them is hydrogen, and we make it into ascorbic acid. And then we attach it to things like calcium and magnesium and zinc. So you don't want to take ascorbic acid, or you don't want to take a lot of it, because it's too acidic for the body and it can turn the body acidic. So you want to take a buffered form of vitamin C, in other words, calcium or magnesium or zinc ascorbate. And of course, I take all 3. I have a product that has calcium and magnesium and zinc in it. And that's what I take on a regular basis. But you got to be real careful with vitamin C, because most of the vitamin C in the world today is junk. At least 90% of it is junk. It's all made, except for a little bit, it's all made in China now. The Chinese put the Europeans out of business. And so all your vitamin C is made in China. They're making it out of genetically modified corn. It's not high quality stuff. Yeah. So you got to be really careful with the vitamin C that you're taking.
And so you suggest the buffered vitamin C. There was one, I'm trying to remember the name of it. I'm trying to think if it starts with an F or a P, that you take it and it doesn't give you the symptoms. But I kind of thought that that's not the point of vitamin C. You take vitamin C until you're symptom free or you reach bowel tolerance. How do you know you're not oversaturating your body, or does that matter?
Well, the way to do it is to go up. Now, a lot of people just take, 3 grams a day or 6 grams a day or something like that. It's better if you go to bowel tolerance. And for that, you have to experiment. You have to go up and up and up and up and up until you get diarrhea or loose stools.
Or until you get a little bloated or gassy, and then you stop.
Yeah, and then you come down from that. And the rule of thumb is about 75 or 80%. So I take 16 grams of vitamin C a day. Mm-hmm. And if I go up to 20, I'll start getting the symptoms you just described. Yeah. And so 16 grams is 80% of 20. And I'm just fine at the 16 grams. and that helps to protect me. I don't get sick. I travel all the time, and I meet hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people.
Yes. And you're in planes for 48 hours.
And I don't get sick. I don't get, in the past, I guess, 35 years now, I've had 4 colds in 35 years. And I have a good excuse for each one of them, by the way. It's inexcusable to have a cold. It's a disaster because a cold is a very serious disease, and it produces a flood of free radicals. Those free radicals damage your DNA. Not all the DNA gets repaired. And so that damaged DNA that's the aging process. So every time you get a cold, you get older. You don't want to do that.
No. That's why you look so young. You've only had 4 colds in 35 years. That's pretty cool. So when we look at vitamin C, and when Raymond is talking about 15 or 16 grams, that's 16,000 milligrams, which is what we're used to. And I've taken up to 65,000 milligrams in one day when I haven't been feeling well. And if you don't get that bloated feeling, well, you'll know, then you keep taking it until you are symptom-free or bowel tolerance. And then the next day you do it again, and the next day you do it again until you are well. And colds last less time. If you do have one right now, just start pounding that vitamin C and just make sure it's non-GMO. Okay, so the next question that we have on Facebook is from Beth, and we've talked about this topic before, but I want them to hear it from you. Sunscreen, yes or no?
What was that again?
Sunscreen.
Sunscreens. Oh my God.
Sunscreen is so damaging.
Yeah, so damaging.
Spraying it on our kids, and it's so damaging.
Horrible. Do not use it. It's toxic. Now, what you need to do is use the sun sensibly. Wear a hat, wear a shirt. There are other things you can do. Traditionally, in the Mediterranean, olive oil was used as sunscreen. And in Polynesia, traditionally, coconut oil was used as a sunscreen. And they're both effective. But it has to be real olive oil, which is very difficult to obtain. I make my own. But most of what you buy in a grocery store is not real olive oil. But I sell on my website. You go to beyondhealth.com and you can get real olive oil.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And also, I've mixed shea butter, and I've made my own compound or for sunscreen, shea oil and coconut oil. What do you think of that? Is that good?
Sure.
Okay. Good. I mean, we can make our own. We just can't be on the sun for 24 hours. We just can't do that to ourselves because, what happens is we are damaging our skin as well. And you don't want to.
Yeah, sunscreen will damage your skin, period. Yeah, and you'll get skin cancer as well.
Yeah. And Mandy says no such thing as cancer is correct. It's just a label. True, absolutely true, Mandy. Thank you so much for sharing your comments. I need to repair low platelets. What do you suggest? And that's from Kay.
What kind of platelets?
Can you be more specific? Kay, it says I need to repair low. Like she has low platelets in her body.
Oh, low platelets. Low. Okay. Well, again, you see, something is going wrong. She has it's like more than 90% of the population has a metabolic disorder. She has a metabolic disorder. There's something going wrong. We don't know exactly what it is. We might be able to find it if we try to measure it. But the production of the platelets is somehow being impaired. And it's being impaired either by deficiency and toxicity. And so usually the combination of both deficiency and toxicity. And so that's what needs to be addressed. The deficiency and the toxicity needs to be addressed so that machinery, that metabolic machinery that produces the platelets are restored to normal function.
Okay. That's great. That's great. Okay, so we have Veronica. She wants to know if you have any recommendations when it comes to multiple sclerosis.
Yes, they're doing a lot of wonderful things with multiple sclerosis, and but again, it's caused by deficiency and toxicity, and if you properly address that, you can do it. For example, I have a friend who was studying Alzheimer's, similar types of diseases, and he wrote a book on it a few years ago called "The End of Alzheimer's." And they're reversing Alzheimer's. So these things are actually reversible, but you have to know how to do it. And the average doctor doesn't have a clue.
Yeah, they found a lot of aluminum in the brain of a demented brain.
Yes.
And of course, we have aluminum all over.
Yes.
It's easy, disposable. We put it underneath our armpits. I don't do it anymore. And what happens is the vaccinations for people that are like following the cattle, just following like cattle and getting these vaccines. If you check out on the CDC and you check out the ingredient list,
Yes, aluminum.
It has aluminum, but nobody's tested to see if we know that it's going through the blood-brain barrier.
All right.
But nobody's testing why is that aluminum there. And all these people that are getting vaccines, 10, 15 years, who knows where it came from?
Yeah, I do not get any vaccinations whatsoever. I tell all of my family to never have a vaccination. And in my books, I call vaccinations one of the biggest medical blunders in history.
I know. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's sad. I've had Del Bigtree, Andrew Wakefield, Judy Mikovits, and these are all shows that you can go on YouTube and on whenyouneedafriend.com and check it out. I just recently got an exemption so that I don't have to. I work in the medical industry, and so I got an exemption, and I'm so excited and relieved that I met a doctor that would do that, that would give me an exemption.
Great.
Yes, I'm thrilled about that. Okay, so Mandy wants to know about fungus, mold. Is that a big issue for diseases?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Yes. Well, again, the body we weren't really designed to be exposed to a lot of this stuff, and today we are exposed to a lot of it, and it puts pressure on your immune system, and then it puts pressure on the entire body. And today everybody's immune system is so disordered to begin with that when we're exposed to these things, the immune system ramps up and tries to look on them as an enemy, and you get big reactions, and the big reactions deplete you of minerals and vitamins, and cause free radicals to be produced. It's a big problem, and so the way to handle it is to keep your immune system as good as you can keep it. Now, give it all the raw material. Vitamin C is critical for immune system, critical. And most people are short vitamin C. So, and indeed, my immune system was totally screwed up when I was sick. And taking high amounts of vitamin C helped to restore my immune system to a more normal state. So, yeah, all these things in our environment, so the way to handle them is to keep the body as strong as you can keep it.
Yeah.
Deliver
Absolutely.
to every cell everything it needs, and take the toxins out. Sauna, stop putting the toxins in, take the toxins out. And if you do this, you'll get a more normal response by the body, and a safer response, and you won't be as damaged when you get exposed to something.
You know what people don't understand, and what it took me a while in the classroom to learn, is that every cell in our body is like a little human being.
Yes.
It eats, it sleeps, it procreates,
Yes.
it poops.
Yes.
And that poop is what makes us sick. And so I'm thinking that fasting kills those bad toxins and raises the ones that were meant to be in our body. Is that, we heat them down, we get them out of our system.
Fasting is it absolutely is detoxifying. Fasting is detoxifying, and the longer you fast, the deeper in you go to pull stuff out. So fasting, I highly, I applaud you for doing this, but it's keep on telling people how important it is. Fasting is very important because today we are a toxic waste dump site. The average American is a toxic waste dump site. And those toxins are accumulating to levels where they're really screwing up your metabolism and they're making you sick, even though you don't know it. You don't have as much energy. You don't feel, you're a little tired at night or something. You're sick. You're really sick.
Yeah.
The only way we know to reduce this load is with the sauna. So you don't have a choice. If you want to be healthy, you have to sauna on a regular basis. And I say this in all my books.
Now, do you sell infrared saunas at beyondhealth.com?
We do. We have a company that I found that I use their sauna and that we approve of. And yeah, it's on our website.
Okay, I'll check it out. Okay. So Jeff, thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you're still listening, and thank you for complimenting the show and being in the classroom today. I know I have a feeling I'm gonna. For those of you who are taking beta blockers, we've done lots of shows on that, and I want to encourage you to do everything you can to get off of those, because I heard that they're causing dementia.
Yes.
So the question is, Raymond, are beta blockers doing more harm than good?
The answer is yes, and that's the bad news. But here's the good news. All the harm is just a side effect. So you don't have to worry about it. It's just a side effect. And so, yeah, basically, here you have the cell. Your job is to keep the cell functioning normally. If you put toxins into the cell, you screw it up. A beta blocker or a prescription drug is a toxin. So when you take a drug, you are causing disease because you're causing cells to malfunction. And the whole thing is, you've got high blood pressure. So, all right, let's cause cells in your kidneys to malfunction, and that will lower your blood pressure. Well, it does, but you're being poisoned. I had a next door neighbor once who took blood pressure medications for 15 years, came down with kidney cancer. So how much abuse can you do to the body? A prescription drug is a poison that is specifically designed to poison certain metabolic functions in the body to suppress symptoms. And so, yes, you lower your blood pressure, you lower your cholesterol, you reduce your pain, you do all these wonderful, wonderful things, and you say, success, success. No, you're being poisoned. And there are other safer, less expensive, better ways to do the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I want to add to something you just said about the poison. I was interviewing a pharmacist in Jacksonville. His name escapes me right now, but he took me, he does compounds, and he wanted to change everything and turn it into a compound instead of taking medicine orally that affects every single organ and causes sometimes addiction and toxicity in the body, to change those and make them a compound so it's on top of the skin, it absorbs into the area, and it doesn't cause that big and when I met him, it was just so wonderful to see a pharmacist that believed that, and they're in Jacksonville. And so he showed me, he pointed to his diploma, or there was like an accreditation or something, and it says that he was authorized to dispense poison. It said it right there. It says we can dispense poison. And they know it, everybody knows it, but we've been brainwashed. And that's why I want us to all do the research. And it's just amazing. And for those of you, I want to be, conscientious to Raymond Francis. And I also have been trying to keep my energy strong, and being in the classroom just revs me up. And then it's like, all my energy is gone, So the Great American Health Hoax, if you call 407, the 10th caller or texter, 407-373-5959, you'll get your own ownership manual here. And, nobody would put sand in their car and wonder, why is the car not working? Right? But then when we get sick, we put a bunch of sand in our body, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And what happens? We get sick and we go, how did this happen? Why am I sick? What can I do about it? We just got to stop. And when I remember picking up Raymond's book and going, oh my gosh, this is the best book. It's like an owner's manual, and I didn't realize that as I'm reading the book, and there's the maintenance list, and I'm thinking, this is good stuff. And I'm due for the 56,000 mile checkup. It's because I'm a little car. So I am doing my 56,000 mile checkup, and that's what the start of the fast is. That's my why. I want my next 50 years to be healthier than my first. And I think, is that achievable, Raymond?
Yes, it is. It is. But you've got to shift the body back into repair mode. The problem is none of us are in repair mode today. They're the poor diet, the toxins. And so when you're not in repair mode, you're getting older, because you've got to do repairs every day or you get older. So everybody's coming prematurely older because they've got repair deficits. And all chronic diseases are repair deficits. So you've got to shift back into repair mode. And one of the things you have to do, and I explain in my maintenance list, is you've got to keep your pH in the normal range.
And let's talk about normal. Let's talk about pH normal.
Yeah. You need to keep your first morning urine between 6.5 and 7.5. If the pH is wrong, there's no way you can be well. Now, you can have perfect pH and you can still be sick because you've got too much, arsenic in your system. Okay. But if your pH is not normal, it is not possible to be well. Not possible to be well. And that's something that, for like a penny a day, you can measure your pH and learn how to keep it under control. And if you do that, that's a huge step toward improving your health and staying healthy. So
yes,
that's a little secret.
What about the mouth? Because we're going to dive into root canals in the mouth and how it creates toxicity.
Yeah.
We're going to look into other things as well. So what about testing the pH in your mouth?
That isn't as helpful. What you really want to do is you want to know what the pH is inside the cell. Well, that's hard to measure, but you can get an indication of what it is inside the cell by measuring first morning urine, because the body is doing a lot of housekeeping overnight, and a lot of acids are coming out. And so if you measure first morning urine, it gives you a pretty good indication of what the pH is inside the cell. But measuring the mouth is not the same. It's just good.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, so Beth wants to know if your book is an Audible. I have no idea.
I think it is. I'm not sure if this I'm not sure if the hoax book is in Audible. It's on Kindle. I think all my books are on Kindle, but not all of them are on audio.
You know, when you decide, Raymond, at the age of maybe 90, to maybe just slow down one day, you can read your entire book into Audible, or you can read your own book, and it would go that next level. Some people don't have time to read. So just a little tip here, would love for you to put it on Audible, so that people can listen when they're driving. See, we listen to, and we spend a lot of time watching junk,
Yes.
watching movies that are full of murder and deceitfulness and drama and trauma, when we can watch something like this, like you, giving us information on how to own our body like an owner's manual. And so we just need to make these choices to step closer to health versus dis-ease.
Yes. Well, it's, you know, you can take a pill or you can take responsibility.
Ah, you like my registered service mark.
Yeah, I love that. But, you know, nobody tells us that. Nobody tells us that. And we grow up not knowing it. And we think of disease as something that falls out of the sky like a meteorite and hits us over the head. And it's just random. It isn't. You know, we give ourselves, there's a few percentage that don't, but outside of that small percentage, we make ourselves sick. And we have to learn how not to do that. And one simple way not to do it is don't eat sugar. Sugar is a very deadly metabolic poison. The problem with sugar is that you eat it and you don't immediately fall over dead, because you probably wouldn't eat it a second time. But what it does is it kills you 50 years later. And so it's a deadly metabolic poison. It just destroys, it screws up mineral chemistry, vitamin chemistry, hormone chemistry, screws up your immune system, screws up your digest. I mean, it just is devastating to the body. Even one teaspoon of this deadly poison, and the average person eats, you know, like a half a pound of sugar a day.
Yeah, it's sad. It really is sad. And I was a sugarholic. I still tell the story, because the person who is here in front of you today is not the person who started it was a show. Now it's a classroom. The person who spoke to you in 2015 is not the same person, because, you know, when we start learning and being curious about things, then our world changes and things open up.
Yeah.
And that's where we, you know, when we're given a diploma, we somehow think we know it all. But the reality is we've been programmed. We've all been programmed, and we need to rewrite the program. And that's why I'm so passionate about the show, or in being in the classroom. And so I want to encourage all of you to, you know, spend some time checking out some of the wonderful teachers we've had on this classroom. Go to whenyouneedafriend.com. Also, I want to let you know that if you see me drinking out of this stainless steel wine stemless glass, I'm drinking fizzy water. I'll even show you, it's fizzy water, because that's what Dr. Michael Clapper calls it. And this is my lunch, my dinner, and my breakfast. And then for the rest of the day, I take reverse osmosis water. And but if you want to see this transformation, we are recording the fast, the 5-day water fast, 1 day at a time, because I'm like 1 day fast, 5 days in a row. And today I woke up thinking, I'm going to be able to make this. So we are documenting everything. We're posting it on a private page. Is my 90-day challenge to self-love ebook, my 90-day challenge to self-love, which you get for free when you become a subscriber of whenyouneedafriend.com. And we're also posting it on Facebook, and we're also posting it on YouTube. If you go to whenyouneedafriend.com and you click onto the YouTube icon, it takes you right to my page. And right there, you'll see everything we've been doing, and with my fastation I call it fast. I read a meditation about going on vacation and the things to pack, like patience and love and compassion. And I thought, you know what? When it comes to the fast, we're going on a vacation because we need to lay low, we need to relax, we need to bring it down. And so I call it my fastcation book, my fastcation group. And so this morning, I was feeling great, but they were not. And so just talking it through was able to change and shift. And so any of you who want to try a fast, you can watch these videos or maybe put together with a group of friends and support one another so that you guys can all heal and be strong. Because friends that grow together stay together and help each other out. And so I want to encourage all of you to check that out. I also want to remind you, the 10th caller or texter, the Great American Health Hoax, every person should have this owner's manual. And I said it before, but now I'm more passionate about it as I get older and wiser. And I wish that I had this wisdom when I was younger, because I would have taught my children these lessons. What advice do you have for people that have grandchildren and children that will not listen to this new truth, Raymond?
Well, that's the problem. They get brainwashed. I actually lecture to children, and in fact, last year I lectured to a lot of children in Abu Dhabi. My favorite age is 10, because a 10-year-old is old enough to start to think on their own, but they're still young enough to see the world more in black and white than in many shades of gray. And if you tell a 10-year-old sugar is a metabolic poison and it's going to harm you, they go home and tell their parents to get all the sugar out of the house. I mean, it's amazing. Now, you tell the same thing to a high school student and they say, yeah, oh, okay, right. And then they go out and they're getting
their candy bar going,
Right, exactly, yeah. So it's a little bit, but the 10-year-olds are just wonderful. So it depends on what age, but it's a process. But if you start teaching your kids when they're very young, then they learn to eat the good stuff, and they don't want the bad stuff. I mean, I know kids that wouldn't dare touch a Coca-Cola or an ice cream or anything like that. They just don't want it. So they were brought up correctly, and they understand the perils of eating things that are bad for them.
Yeah, and the sad part of this, and I do a lot of coaching when people come to me because they want to fix one part of their life, and when I tap into nutrition, they feel like they have great nutrition, and I'll say, okay, what did you eat today? Give me like a sample. Give me a sample of what you're eating today. And they start talking about sweet tea, and they start talking about a burger, or they start talking about, we've been programmed. And what worked when we were children may not work now. And so it's time for us to listen to our body and say, okay, well, does this work? But the saddest thing is when a parent gives a child the candy bars or gives a child the processed foods with no nutrients in it. And then these kids are growing up from the beginning, Raymond, without the nutrients they need. What advice do you give to children? Not children, but parents to wake up and stop feeding their children such poison.
If they love their children, and they do, then they want the best for the child. They want to give them the longest possible life and the highest quality life. And so if they want to do that, they've got to cut out the bad stuff, which is damaging the children. They've got to cut out the sugar and the dairy and the processed oils, and because it's cut out the wheat, because it's damaging the child, damaging their future. So if you love your child, give them a better life, give them a longer life, a disease-free life. That's a great gift the parent can give to the child.
Yes, yes. And yesterday we did a show with Dr. Neil Barnard. He was a teacher in the classroom, and we talked about how to teach children about nutrition. But unfortunately, the parents are the pushers. We, as parents, are the drug pushers. We're pushing
Yeah.
the sugar. We're pushing the candy bars, the processed foods, because we are so busy, we don't have time to have a relationship with the food. And
Oh,
so it's a shift in mentality,
yeah.
and we owe it to ourselves to stop the madness, get off and say,
Yeah.
I want to do what's right for me. And Raymond, thank you so much for being a part of the classroom and being a part of being a teacher in the classroom today. And of course, now that we're back together, I'd love for us to continue working together and have you back on.
Love to do it. Love to do it.
I think you did the same thing for my husband in 2015. I remember the look on his face when he came into my office, closed the door behind me. He looked like he had seen a ghost. Or no, he poked his head in. That's what he did. He poked his head in after the show, and he went, I'm in. And that was because of you. That was because of you. So all my nagging didn't work. My love, my making him such great foods, and he still wanted his meat, and he still wanted all his other stuff. And when he said, I'm in, I knew what he meant. And thank you for that, Raymond. You are a superhero with a cape. So thank you so much. And okay, so we could continue talking all day long. I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to give this a thumbs up, to share it. If you're watching on YouTube later on, of course, give it a thumbs up and share it. And tell all your friends that, again, my registered service mark is you can take a pill or you can take responsibility. What are you willing to do? You know, Meatloaf has that song that says, I would do anything for, fill in the blank, fill in the blank. But what happens afterwards? It says, but I won't do that. So my question, my challenge to you today is, what are you willing to do to live the life that you were created, to live that healthy life that you deserve and that is our right? But only you can make the choice towards health or dis-ease. So thank you, Raymond Francis, for being our teacher in the classroom today, and I'm looking forward to our next lesson.
Thank you for the invitation, and the best to all of your listeners. God bless them.
Thank you so much. And so I'm going to say goodbye for now. Go ahead, say goodbye, Raymond.
Hey, bye-bye.
Okay. See ya. And then we're going to say goodbye to the YouTubers. Bye.